can't believe Kingdom of Ash did Avengers Endgame before Avengers Endgame did. Welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salva, and today I will be doing a book review on the 7th and final Throne of Glass book, Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my god, I can't believe the day has finally arrived. I've been doing Throne of Glass book reviews for about as long as this channel started, and it's weird that this is the last ever book I'll be reviewing. Let's start with the elephant in the room. This is a 984-page book. This book was a not so delightful study into the theory that as fans of these books and as fans of these franchises, we always say, oh, I would sit through 10 hours of Harry Potter. I would listen to my favorite character enumerate their grocery list. I just want more and more and more of my favorite characters. 10 hours, 100,000 pages, I would read it all. This book was a perfect example of that's not true. I love the Throne of Glass series, if you can't already tell, and this book was way too long. Looking at other reviews online, it was the biggest complaint. Like, it was the first complaint out the gate, so I'm gonna do that too. This book had no business being as long as it was. There were certain battle scenes that came across repetitive, and it was funny because in the back I got the bonus edition from Barnes & Noble, and there was a note that Sarah made saying how to make battle scenes not repetitive, and I'm like, did you really avoid that? There were so many final stands in this book, it kind of made the book lose its magic, or big plot twists have less value because you kind of saw it coming. I mean, if you pull out a plot twist out of nowhere, yeah, it's amazing the first time, and the longer the book goes on, you just start to expect it. But you know what? There was a lot of ingenuity involved in how each character sort of got out of their bind. Had the book been shorter and stuck to the truly like good value parts of the book, it would have given those plot twists or big reveals a little bit more weight. So yeah, this book, I would have just loved it so much more if it had been shorter, and I would have had a little more love for it. I did love this book, don't get me wrong. I feel like towards the end they were so tired of battling, and I was like, you know what, it ain't no picnic reading about it either. I too am exhausted. So this book picks up right after the events of Empire of Storm / Tower of Dawn. I think because it's been a year since I've read both of those books, it took me a while to get my bearings, and then once it did, the story progressed really well. We were thrown right in the middle of the action, so there was no dead space. This was something that I did not love about Throne of Glass when I first encountered it, and now that I'm on the final book, I am starting to appreciate it, or I appreciate it now, and that is the world grows as the story grows, or the story grows as the world grows. As the world expanded and we knew more about Erilea, the more we got points of views from fairies and warriors and soldiers. After a little bit of growing pains, I would say Heir of Fire really struggled with growing pains of needing the story to be as big as the world, but I think with Kingdom of Ash, nail on the head, it was perfect. The story has fully grown to fit the world it is set in. I really like how it tackles the dilemma of if it comes down to you saving the kingdom, all these strangers you don't know, or sacrificing the person you love the most, is that worth it? Not just one character had to go through this, but multiple characters. They got into it and they really explored it. Sometimes those kinds of topics are like touched upon in books, but I really appreciate how this book went deep into it. Also, an element that I only realized now reading the last book, how reliant the story has gotten on the lore of Erilea and the pantheon of gods, that I wish it had been a lot more established in the first book. Having this whole plot of the gods coming in, having to defeat Erewhon, blah blah blah, it made me realize how this book probably took a turn from its inception. If you had only read the first 2 books, you would not believe where the story ends up, and I don't think that was intentional. I think it was just a matter of the author growing and wanting to try a different story. Because we're so knee-deep into the mythology and culture of Erilea, that was not established in the first few books. It distracted from the plot, and it did not give it enough weight, because you're like, these gods are relevant how? I don't know. We literally saw, I think, 1 church service in book 1, and that was it. So I wish that it had been incorporated more in the story from the very start. While we're on the subject of gods, so I don't know the plural of this, but there were a lot of deus ex machinas. Aside from the length of the book, that would be my biggest complaint, and here we're gonna delve into a little bit of spoilers. And now that I think about it, yes, they devoted a whole book with Nasrin and Chaol set in the southern continent, and them bringing the Khaganate back to Erilea, but now in hindsight side. I was like, yes, okay, they're pretty much coming in just to save the day. Done again with the Mycenaeans, done again with the Lost Fae of Terrasen. There were just a lot of things that sort of came out of nowhere to fix the protagonist's solutions. But what did we do to earn this? They just showed up at the right time, magically, to get our protagonists out of a bind. Talking about unearned moments in this book, I think that this book took too much time. If you're a fan, maybe it wasn't enough. For me, it was definitely too many chapters to discuss Lorcan and Eleid's love story. Again, okay, we're just gonna hop into a little bit of spoiler here. A good chunk of this book is dedicated to Eleid and Lorcan, and there is a part where everyone is so focused on Eleid saving Lorcan's life. The scene itself, written beautifully, magically. I love it. The excitement, the tension was there. Only it was given to two characters I could not care less about. Their love story came up for me out of nowhere. It was so contrived. Add in the fact that I've never cared for Eleid as a character anyway. I've said this in reviews past that she's my least favorite character. Had those scenes been given to Aelin, oh, to Dorian, to Chaol, oh my god, that would have given the scene so much power. So did I feel like they deserved that big sweeping epic love moment? No, but I do like them a lot better in this book than in books past. This is the most I've liked Eleid. She is by no means still my favorite character. I still hate her, but I gotta say, a lot of the sweetest moments in the book went to them. Like, there's a scene towards the end that's just like, okay, that was sweet, fine, I guess I like you now, whatever. Like, I hope you guys have like a ton of babies and be happy, whatever. I think for the most part, everyone got to share the stage and the spotlight an equal amount. It was divided up pretty well, except for the end where, light spoiler, Manon did not get that much of a conclusion, or we did see her conclusion, but through somebody else's eyes. And towards the end of the book, I noticed that her appearances were solely from another character's eyes. She had a lot of chapters in the beginning and the middle, and towards the final battle she just sort of dropped off. But for the most part, everyone was given equal amount of attention. I'd say for the first 150 pages, Aelin was out of commission. She was held captive by Maeve. It sort of made me like her more, because for all this time we've known Aelin, we've known her as this ass-kicking warrior princess, and for her to have the first 150 pages dedicated to her just existing, just her being Aelin, not her kicking ass, being witty, being strong, and you getting to know her character while she's essentially frozen in time. I think taking that time was really good and made me like her character more. It literally stripped her down to the core and rebuilt your relationship with the character. It sounds so wrong. I really liked it when Aelin was kept and being tortured, but from a plot, character development point of view, that's what I mean. I really liked it. There were characters in this book that didn't earn their beats, and then there were characters that I was like, y'all, you guys earned this beat 3 books ago. Why are you only doing it now? Like Dorian, for example. He has this big show-stopping scene about 3/4 of the way, and you're like, well, that was freaking awesome. You're telling me we could have had more of that Dorian 2 books ago? Where was this Dorian in Empire of Storms? Where was this Dorian in Queen of Shadows? I get it. You were possessed by Valg. You saw Saoirse die in front of you, but come on, dude. And now you're giving it to us 200 pages before we have to say goodbye to you forever? What the heck, man? But aside from that, I did love Dorian's scenes here in this book. I thought each character arc was what that character deserved. Everyone had, if not justified Lorcan and Eleid, then a meaningful ending. This doesn't necessarily mean that they end where the book ends. They might have ended earlier, but all of them were truly meaningful to the character. And you can tell that Sarah J. Maas loves her characters so much that even if it's to kill them off, it was done with justice. So that's what I really loved about this book, is you can tell that she loved her characters to the death, sometimes literally. That's about all I can talk about without delving into really, really gritty, meaty spoilers. So without further ado, all aboard the spoiler train. So I want to pick up our conversation about Manon not really getting a POV towards the end. How do you not give a POV to the girl who lost her entire family? Unfortunately, I was spoiled about the 13's yielding, and but it still moved me, and it was one of the most emotional parts in the book for me. And the fact that we didn't really get to see Manon grieve, aside from that first post-yielding chapter, and the rest of the book was her fighting and not really exploring her feelings. Towards the end, she still seems like this block of ice. So obviously her grief won't be finished, but the fact that we didn't get more than a chapter delving into her grief, I just felt cheated, and I really wanted to know how it affected her internally, because oh my goodness, that's one of the biggest events in this book for me. We did get a lot of Adion's point of view about all the grieving and him and his relationship with Gabrielle, and why didn't Manon get the same? So I thought I would do something different for this spoiler part, because I could go on and tick all of my notes off and one by one go through them, or I could literally just read out my reactions, which I put down on my notes app, and I thought that'd be fun. Just think it'd be a good hypercut of my reading experience, because I don't do reading vlogs, but I did note my reactions down on the notes app, so I thought that'd be sort of a fun little thing to do.
One chapter in, and I already like it more than Empire of Storms. Why are people mad at each other? I've forgotten. Lol, it's so hard not being on the winning ship. We're just gonna have to make lemonade out of lemons. They're endgame. What am I supposed to do with it? Well, future dream families are my weakness, but you know what would have been better? Chaos. Do I like Adion, Lysandra's point of view best? What is this? Ooh, Manon, you lying bitch. Me wanting prequel of the Fall of the Witch City. Please. Aniel, finally get to see Chaos house. Home. Land, kingdom, city. What do you call that? Is it just me, or do I want to kill everyone in the Lorcan group? How hormonal can these effers get? The words disappeared on Dorian's tongue when he saw Calpain. Ha! Same sis. The love scenes be getting ridiculous. They always are. It's a Sarah J. Maas book. Screaming at Kaelena's super sweet reunion, and Irene meeting Aelin and Rowan. OMG. I'm gonna melt into a puddle of feels. I was still happy for both of them, even if they weren't together. Oh, okay, fine. I like you, Elite, in all caps. Yeah, okay, I was ready for Lorcan to die. Why are we trying to save him? Also, I'm back to hating Elite. Adion's longest sprint. Adion, you literally just ran to Lysandra a few chapters ago. How is this the longest sprint in your life already? Erewhon and Maeve, first meeting. Would be so cool if we weren't aware that Dorian was a freaking mouse during it. Bringing down Morath, though. I wish you were my father. Shut up, Chaos. Maeve shifting into Aelin to seduce Erewhon. I literally cringed and went, Lorcan Elite, bitch, we in a war. Ain't nobody got time for that. Petra Iskra, good though. That was a really good scene. I think that was a masterclass in action scene writing. Dorian realizing he had the same name as his dad. Not the time. Like, is he gonna Chris Pratt this whole thing and try to punch Thanos because he couldn't control himself and wanted to ask his dad's name?
Guys, this book did Avengers Endgame before Avengers Endgame did. So there's a part in the end where Aelin literally opens a portal and armies cross through and save the day. But this book came out in 2018. Avengers came out in 2019. Are you saying this book did Avengers Endgame on your left before Avengers Endgame did? And I was like, no way, how is this possible? She's secretly a Russo. That's what J stands for. Russo. But I just remember being mind messed up. I don't want to use the word, but I was mind effed. The last two notes I had were my favorite parts of the book. The coronation obviously was an amazing scene, and I was so happy, and it was so Hollywood, and it was so cheesy, but at this point, all these people deserve all the cheese in the world. I love how Dorian was like, oh, it's gonna be nice to have two queens who are friends, and Sartek's like, not queen, empress. And I just want a spin-off. I want a whole series about the southern continent. There are a lot of chosen one stories in YA, and one of my least favorite parts I've found is that you get to know this whole ensemble of characters, and at the end of the day it's the chosen one who saves the day. The others are sort of just given half credit. What I really loved about the ending of Kingdom of Ash was that every main character had a hand in bringing Erewhon and Maeve down. It wasn't just Aelin swooping in to save the day. And I love how at the end of the day it wasn't Aelin who gave the killing blow to either Erewhon or Maeve, that it was other characters. It could be argued that Aelin slipped the ring onto Maeve that destroyed her, but it was Fenris who stabbed her, and again with Erewhon it was Irene and Dorian who killed him. I love how she was able to have all these characters take their spot and fulfill their destiny at that exact point in the book, and it was probably my favorite part of this book. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the last Throne of Glass book review I'll ever make. My playlist is finally complete. Pro. But that about does it for my Kingdom of Ash book review. You can follow me on my other bookish adventures on Twitter. I'm at cuckooforbooks, and on Instagram I'm at cuckooforbooks and at Salva Villarasa. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye guys.